In this little video, I just want to show you how to work with some lace stitches. They look quite complicated and they do involve stitches you might not have come across before. So I'm just going to show you how to work on this middle second band of the pattern to make it easier for when it comes to knitting it yourself. So I've done a very simple little mini swatch here just to show you how this lace pattern is made up. I've repeated it twice so you can see. And in the pattern, I've written it with just written instructions. Sometimes with lace patterns, you will be given a chart to help visualize it. But because this is quite a simple little lace pattern, I've written it with written instructions. So let's begin with row 1. So the pattern begins with knit 1. And then where the asterisk begins, we start with knit 1. Now, our first indication here is a yarn over. This is a very simple technique. If it's going from a knit stitch to another knit stitch, all you need to do is take your yarn from the back and bring it to the front. So it's now sitting at the front, which doesn't seem to be in the right place, but with the next stitch, you'll see how this works for the yarn over. The next stitch says SSK, which means slip, slip, knit. So the way to do this is to, with our right needle, slip the next stitch knitwise off the needle, the left needle, then slip the next stitch purlwise off the needle, and now we need to knit those two together. This is creating a decrease. So with my left needle, I'm now going to put that into the front of those two, and now this is where the yarn over comes into play. So it's sitting at the front, and I'm now going to knit those two stitches together and decrease them and take them off the needle. And there we have it. So I've created the yarn over, which has also created that lace hole. And at the same time, I've also done an SSK. That looks a bit complicated, but I will be showing you that again. So then following on with the pattern, it then says knit 3. And then knit 2 together. So I take my right needle in front of the first of the two and then knit those together. And then I need to do my yarn over. So I bring it to the front of the work and let it just wait there until I've done the next stitch, and then you'll see how it works. So I'm now going back to the beginning of my asterisk. Knit 1, and this is where the yarn over comes into play. And then I have to do another yarn over, so bring it forward. Now this is where I do my SSK. So slip knitwise, slip purlwise, and then knit those two together. Followed by knit 3, knit 2 together, and then finally yarn on. I'm going to finish the row now with just the knit at the end of the row. So row 1 is now done. Quite a lot of different functions have happened during that, but you can see a lot of what the stitches involve are either increasing with the yarn over or decreasing with knit 2 together or the SSK. So that's really how lace knitting is made up, of increasing and decreasing. So row 2 is very simply purl all the way across. When you see these yarn over stitches, don't try and readjust them and put them on differently. Just purl straight across. They look a little bit unusual. There's one. Just keep purling as normal all the way across. You want to create those lace holes. So all the way across, and then we'll be ready to start with row 3. So turning around, there we are. You can already see there's a couple of holes coming through. So row 3 begins with knit 1. Now the asterisks. So I start with knit 2, yarn on, so I bring my yarn forward, SSK, so slip knitwise, slip purlwise, and then knit those two together. followed by knit 1, and now another decrease, knit 2 together. So you can see what's happening is that the decreases are creating slants going both directions. So the SSK takes it to slant that way, and the knit 2 together makes it slant that way. So that's the knit 2 together. Now yarn on, knit 1. So I'll repeat that asterisk. So it starts with knit 2, yarn on, slip knitwise, slip purlwise, knit 2 together with that yarn over, knit 1, now decrease the other way, knit 2 together, yarn on, knit 1, and finally knit 1 to finish that row. So that's the end of row 3. So row 4 is simply purl all the way across the back on the wrong side, and then we'll be ready to do row 5, which uses one other new stitch combination. So all the way along, now we're ready for row 5. So in row 5, what we're looking for is this way of joining the top of this little triangular pattern. So the pattern begins with row 1, and then the asterisk starts with knit 3, then yarn on, so bring it forward. Now this is the new stitch we haven't done yet, which is called S2KP. So that means slip 2 as if you're going to knit them together. So I'm going to put my right hand needle in front of the 2, and this time instead of knitting them I'm going to slip them right off. Now I'm going to knit the next stitch and my yarn over is in place, and then I need to lift those 2 slip stitches over the top, so it sort of closes up the triangle. Then I need to follow that with a yarn on and knit 2. So let's just repeat that. Beginning of the asterisk, knit 3, then I'm going to close this triangle off with yarn over, bring it forward. Now S2KP, so slip 2 knitwise, off together as if you were going to knit them together. Now we're going to knit the next stitch and then pass over those 2 slip stitches to close the stitch off. Then yarn over and knit 2, and then finally at the end of my row I have that extra stitch. So we have finished all 5 rows of the lace pattern. Of course you can then finish the pattern with a purl all the way across, but you can see now that combination of holes going up, which were caused by the yarn over, as well as those decreases, the SSKs, and the knit 2 together going in the different directions, as well as that final stitch, the S2KP, to create that pretty lace effect.